everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It's Lane here with MetaShackle. Today I just wanted to go over the XRP Dragon Pattern as things are really starting to get interesting. And this week could be very eventful depending on what happens. I mean, we could see a sell the news event with the dump from this awesome pump that we've been seeing. We could see a nice continuation. There's a lot of different ways that this could play out. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the chart. For additional information and exclusive perks, do consider joining me and the rest of our community on Patreon. So what we're looking at here is the XRP Dragon Pattern. If you haven't seen my previous videos, what we're basically dealing with here is we have the head of the dragon here, the front feet here, the hump right here, going into the rear feet here, into the tail. Now I do want to iterate that just because the Elliott Wave ABCDE Descending Triangle pattern did not come to fruition by coming down and establishing an E wave previous to the breakout, that does not negate the Dragon Pattern. That just simply means that rather than an ABCDE descending wedge triangle pattern, which we see right here, what we're actually seeing is an ABC moving into the current breakout that we're seeing now. So the two are not related to each other. And as you can clearly see, the Dragon Pattern is breaking out nicely. There's no denying this. So I've changed this chart to the ABC rather than the way I had it before with the descending triangle and the 5 waves, because this E wave did not come to fruition. So we're going to continue to move on and chart out this pattern to the best of our ability and see how things develop. So switching over to the 4-hour chart, what we're zooming in on here is the dragon's tail with the wave 4 termination right here moving into this 5th wave. Now what we have seen has been a 5-wave move to the upside. When I was first looking at this, it looked to me like this was the wave 1 to the 2 to wave 3, 4, with this being the termination of wave 5. But with what I've been seeing in this chart, I believe what we're looking at here is actually an extended wave 3, which means that this would be the wave 3 termination. This ABC to the downside that we've seen right here would be the wave 4 termination moving into the 5th wave. If we go to the hourly chart and zoom in on this a little bit further, you can see right here that this termination point of the C leg of this ABC to the downside came down to where this line is sitting right here, which means that this wave C termination could be right here if this is a valid ABC correction with the wave 4 termination and is now moving into the 5th wave, which means that what we could be seeing right here, since this wick is actually shorter than this one, it's not uncommon for the wave 2 to retrace pretty deep into the wave 1, but it cannot retrace more than 99%. So essentially what we could be looking at right here is the wave 1 into the wave 2 moving up into what would be a 5-wave move to the upside for a 3, 4, and a 5 to complete this subwave of this 5th wave right here. So when going back to the daily chart, there are a few things that I could see occurring here. Because if you saw my last video, I talked about a few different options, and it looks like we've gone the route of coming back and retesting this upper trend line for the wave 4 termination. Now the option number 1 that I could see is once this 5th wave played out, say something goes horribly wrong this week, and what we actually see is this being the primary 5th wave termination here, giving us a truncated 5th, falling short of setting a new all-time high. At that point, what we could see is price basically just completely shit the bed. We could also see this coming down with this being the wave D termination coming down here and actually forming the E leg that we've been talking about. But now, rather than this being a descending triangle pattern, it would actually be more of a flat pattern coming down for the E wave. Then we could see a continuation to the breakout. Now, I think that is the least likely option at this point, but it very well could work out that way or in a similar fashion. Now, the third and the most bullish option of what could occur is this primary fifth wave here actually being much bigger than what we'd originally anticipated. Since this is a 5-wave move to the upside, we very well could be seeing something like this, where it comes up for the wave 1, down to the wave 2, up for the wave 3, wave 4, and into the wave 5 termination, finishing out this primary wave 5 right here. Within that pattern, we'd have our 5-wave move here, an ABC correction, a 5-wave move up, ABC correction, and a 5-wave move up to finish it, giving us a move to the upside that could be considerably higher, surpassing the previous all-time high by quite a distance. There's a couple different ways that you could measure this, but if that was the case, we certainly could see much higher prices. If we measure with the retracement, we could see something like this, to where we started to see prices into the $7, perhaps even $8 range. If we use the standard measurement, going by the Elliott wave, which is a measurement of the wave 1, pulling that wave 1 up to the wave 4 termination, which could give us two targets. This target right here, which would be the positive 1 fib at about $4.46, or this target up here at the 1.618, which is right around $6. If this fifth wave did play out in that fashion to the upside, coming up to these higher targets, the volume and momentum would likely be the deciding factor to which one of these fib level measurements is going to be the most accurate. But one thing's for sure, if it does play out in this fashion with this fifth wave to the upside on the primary, we could see some incredible prices. So jumping over and taking a look at the total crypto market cap, you can see that back here in November of 2021, we started to form this massive cup and handle pattern, which started forming the handle in March of 2024. We then broke out of the rim line right here in November of 2024, came back, retested that rim line, and broke out to where we currently are trading just above this upper trend line. Now if we go to the daily chart, you can see that when that retest of the rim line came into play here, we actually formed a smaller cup. This cup started to form in January of 2025, forming the handle in May, breaking out of the rim line right here in July, retesting that upper trend line, false breakout here on wave 3, and we are now trading up above that upper trend line into this bearish order block, which is likely going to be challenging to get through. Now, if you look at this pattern here, we're currently trading at about 4 trillion. We have a very clear 5-wave Elliott wave move to the upside with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a wave 5 that is yet to be completed. Now, if you look at this right here, you can see that the wave 1 is longer than the wave 3, which means the only way that this pattern can remain valid is the wave 5 will have to be shorter than the wave 3. Now, if we just pull a quick little measurement off of this just to get a general idea, coming off of this area here, we could expect to see that wave 5 add another $1 trillion to the market cap, no problem. And just because this 5-wave move terminates here doesn't mean that this pattern is over. Much like XRP, we could see something like this with a correction, then starting a whole new pattern to the upside. But as it sits right now, the total crypto market cap is primed for a very nice fifth wave to the upside. So coming back to the XRP Daily Chart, this is basically what I would be looking for, is we've broken out here on the wave 5. At this point, this appears to be an ABC breaking out of a descending wedge. In my opinion, coming down for the wave E, which still could happen, is the least likely scenario, but still very well could occur. We've now retested this upper trend line here, and we have this sub-wave 5 remaining. So what we want to watch for is how this sub-wave 5 reacts. Is this going to be the entirety of the tail the entirety of the move, coming into this wave 5 here and ending the pattern, breaking to the downside? Or is this wave 5 just a small fractal part of a much larger pattern? With this basically being the 5-wave move up, coming down for an ABC, for another 5-wave up, to an ABC, to another 5-wave up, for a much larger 5th wave. Now, one way that we could keep our eye out for this particular pattern is once this subwave 5 termination is in, one thing that we can look for would be watching for this to form an ABC to the downside, then forming a wave 1 and 2, showing evidence of the continuation of the wave 3. If it does play out in this fashion, this is definitely one as a trader you're going to want to catch, because this wave 3 to the upside will be the most explosive wave of all 5 waves. So that is basically what I would be keeping an eye on, is those 3 possibilities. Because we know for sure, looking at the chart right now, is the XRP Dragon Pattern has broken out to the upside. Regardless or not, if the Elliott Wave Descending Triangle ABCDE pattern didn't come to fruition, that doesn't matter. We're still breaking out of the Dragon Pattern. I would have much preferred to see this come down, gathering this lower liquidity, forming the E-leg termination before seeing the breakout, because I think if that was the case, we would see a much bigger breakout. But there still remains a possibility that we could see something in that regard, but that's something I'll be watching for. But like I said, I would consider it at this point the least likely scenario, but that could change. This is trading, and as I always say, nothing in trading is 100%. So we have to be like water and go with the flow. When things change, we pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, we dig into the charts, and we figure out what our next move's going to be. We don't sit and dwell on the last trade. We keep moving forward. But one thing's for sure, I think this week is going to be very, very interesting. So keep your eyes open for the viewer's choice video, which will have XLM and HBAR. That video will be coming out within the next couple of days. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Good luck. Have a great day.